If horror movies really wanted to scare us, instead of those jump cuts and serial killers with axes, they would try to hit us where it really hurts and expose our deep-rooted fears that stunt our growth and cripple our human experience. Atychiphobia, a pretty terrifying word in its own right, but not as terrifying as what it stands for, the fear of failure. In fact, multiple studies have shown that the fear of failure affects over 30% of Americans, which is more than the common fears like spiders or heights or cucumbers. And whether it be in school, at work, or picking a career path, chances are that you've also battled with this fear at some point in your life. So instead of letting this hold us back any further, let's dive into some steps that we can all take to kill this evil villain once and for all. What does failure mean to you? A simple definition of it is an absence or lack of success. But the problem with that is that success is subjective. It means something different to everyone, which means that the whole concept of failure is
fairy dust. It doesn't exist.
Sure, we can say that we failed if we failed a test or if we weren't able to meet a deadline for work, but most of the time failure is something that we place on ourselves or let other people define for us. So let's think of why we are afraid of failing. Is it pressure that we feel from family or friends? Do we have peers who seem more successful than us that we're trying to compete with? Are we trying to impress someone? The truth is, you can only ever control your own thoughts in your own life. So if it's somebody else that you're trying to impress, forget it. And if it's you that's placing this fear on yourself, you have the power to control and to change the way that you perceive failure and success. So figure out what you're afraid of, write it down, and acknowledge it. Is it failing that test? Failing at starting up a business? Failing at that job interview? No matter what, once we acknowledge why we're feeling this way and what we're actually fearing, we can try to change this definition and view failure in a different way. It isn't a bad thing to aim high, but when we take on an all or nothing approach to our life, we're basically asking to feel like a failure. So we should reset our goals to include more of the journey and the experience, rather than just that big end goal that we want to achieve. So that if we don't hit that goal, we can still be proud of ourselves for trying something new and for giving our best effort. And as a result, we'll feel less like a failure and more like we've just taken another step forward to success. Now, of course, we want to achieve the best, but if we're really passionate about something, then it's a chase that will bring us happiness no matter what. If you open a bakery that isn't able to franchise but is still really popular in its local town, that's not a failure. If you finish second in a race of 100 people, that isn't a failure. Putting months of work into a film that only gets into one festival or only gets 10 views online, that's not a failure if you enjoyed making it and it means something to you. It would only be a failure if you never tried making it at all. Focus on the journey and the process. Visualize that big ending, but also acknowledge all the obstacles that will come your way and all the tiny successes that you'll have in between. What if is a mindset that can be taken two ways. It can stop you from starting anything at all because you're too scared that, what if I fail? And then you decide that you'd rather stay where you are so that you don't have to experience that failure. But we can also make that what if question beneficial to us by preparing ourselves for the possibility or inevitability of failure and figuring out what our backup plan could be. A quote you might have heard before is, expect the best but prepare for the worst. We can be confident that we'll have success, but if we understand that we might fail and set up a plan for what we'll do when things go wrong, we can approach situations with more ease and less stress because we know that we'll end up okay no matter what. As we talked about before, we shouldn't be afraid of failure because we're scared of not impressing someone. But we can really eliminate that fear of failure if we just stop caring about what people think about us and about what we do. You can be the biggest people pleaser in the world, you can be the nicest person to everybody, but no matter what, there's still gonna be someone that doesn't like you for whatever reason. Failure in friendships and in relationships, when people decide to leave us or not support us, it can make us feel like we're flawed and distort our view for future relationships. But you shouldn't avoid things because you don't want to be rejected or you're afraid that people might not like you. Stop giving a f what people think. If you mess up a presentation, trip or fall or do something dumb, laugh it off with everyone else. Embarrassment is something that we decide to feel for ourselves, so don't take things to heart. Those people that are laughing at you aren't thinking about you or caring about you more than that one embarrassing moment, so you shouldn't care about what they think either. We all mess up. We all are different and like different things and different people. Everything in life is subjective, and you're never gonna make everybody happy. Once we acknowledge that we will fail sometimes, and when we do actually fail, It's important that we take something positive from that experience so that we don't fall into a pit of depression. Realize how many other times in your life that you've failed at things and still rebounded. If you gave up the first time that you failed at something in school, you'd never have graduated. It's in our blood as humans to keep fighting and to bounce back. When you fail, you learn what not to do or what to do better the next time. When you take it as a learning experience, it makes you fight even harder for what you want. Or if one failure makes you not want to fight for that same thing again, maybe that thing isn't really what you want to shoot for, but you can still use that experience as something that helps you tailor your interests and aspirations. Failing at one thing or one time doesn't mean that you are a failure. Life goes on and we're going to have more opportunities to try again. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times at trying to make a light bulb. Imagine if he just gave up after the first time. Each time that we fail, we're one step closer to success. Nobody wants to fail, but once we accept that failures are an inevitability in life, we can limit the effect that the fear of failure puts on us. If we stop caring about what people think, push ourselves to do things that scare us and take risks, we realize that going after what we want, doing things that fulfill us and make us happy will help us grow regardless of the outcome. So chase after your dreams. Do what feels right to you. The biggest failure is holding yourself back and living a life that you're not happy with just because you're afraid that things might not work out exactly how you want. Expect the best and prepare for the worst. Shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Thanks for watching. As someone who struggles with this myself, I hope that some of these ideas can help you overcome your own fear of failure. And if you made it this far in the video, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up. It would help out my channel a lot, and it would make me pretty happy. So thank you again, and I will see you next week.